All right, what a great afternoon. Beautiful day outside. A lot of good things to talk about, and really happy to have our next guest, U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy. Senator, thank you for being on the show this afternoon.
Hey, Bob, thank you for having me. Beautiful day in Louisiana, huh?
Now, look, we have a lot of things to talk about, but let's get to the most important thing first. When it comes to the Saints and the Rams and the Tigers and Bama, how do you see that playing out?
You know, I agree with you. Most important issue of the day. I feel good about the Saints. Clearly, the Rams are good, but the Saints I just feel really good. I feel good about the Tigers, but I have to admit, I thought they were going to lose to Georgia.
Me too.
They crushed Georgia.
Me too.
And so, if they play that kind of perfect game with a if you will, spirited crowd in Tiger Stadium, I also feel good about the Tigers.
Let me ask this real quick. Is it correct that they now serve beer at Tiger Stadium?
Well, I think they do. I know they do up in the luxury boxes.
Uh-huh.
I don't think they've started yet in where I sit. You know, the hoi polloi.
Yeah, let that tank. Let them get tanked up. We're in trouble. Senator, there's so many things I want to ask you. I don't know where to start, but I would like to ask you about this because I guess I'm in that demographic now where I'm spending a lot more money for prescription drugs than I ever thought I would, and a lot of people around me are. My family is. What in the world, if anything, can be done to bring down the cost of these drugs?
We're actually making progress, and it's being driven in part or instigated in part by folks from Louisiana. For example, 3 years ago, pharmacists came to D.C. and said, listen, we the pharmacists may know that a patient could save money by paying cash instead of paying their insurance copay, but our contract with the insurance company does not allow us to tell the patient. Now, that was 3 years ago. It's taken 3 years. But about 3 weeks ago, the president signed into law a bill outlawing those sorts of gag clauses. And just the effect of that. I was speaking to a fellow over in Metairie, and we're having coffee on Old Metairie Road. He goes, I went to get Lovenox 2 years ago, and it was going to cost me $190. And for whatever reason, I asked the pharmacist, how much if I pay cash? $70. Wait, your prescription goes from $190 to $70? The pharmacist couldn't tell him because of such a contract. It is only because he has the presence of mind to ask, what if I pay cash? That happens in millions of drug transactions. At this point, that's now outlawed. Folks are going to immediately start saving money.
Well, I had a similar thing happen to me. I asked for my drug, and I asked for the generic, and the pharmacist said, I'm sorry, your insurance does not cover this. And I said, well, it used to cover it. Well, I'm sorry, it doesn't cover it. Okay. Well, how much is it going to cost me? Oh, about $8. Wait, hold on. How did that happen? And you're right. You, as a consumer, though, you have to ask questions.
You have to ask questions, and there's a couple of things about that, Bob. One, I'm a firm believer the patient has to have the power. And we're putting in lots of laws that are provisions and advocating for things that give the patient the power. We also need the patient to seize the power. And once she has the power of price transparency, for example, we need her to use that power to get the best price and the best quality. There's going to be a little bit of a shakeup in healthcare going forward, but it's going to be driven by giving the patient the power. And
I have found, I know a lot of my friends, you can take and get some of your drugs from Canada where they have generics of drugs that we have here. They don't have generics. Cheaper.
Yeah, yeah, totally. There are some physicians that have a kind of, this is how you work it in Canada. Right. Now, some of those websites are, frankly, not accurate.
You're correct.
You may be getting sweepings off the floor from Bangalore.
Senator, again, thank you for taking time to be with us on the show. President Trump, no matter what you think of him, you never know what he's going to say. Absolutely. It's kind of like a bunch of guys in a room and someone says something. Yeah, we ought to do such and such. Now, he said members of the U.S. military sent to the southern border to keep out thousands of migrant caravans would fight back if immigrants threw stones and suggested soldiers might open fire because there's not much difference between a rock or a gun. Give them slingshots, but not guns to shoot back. Gee. But
yeah, Yeah, I don't think the president is going to command those folks to shoot on people throwing rocks. But one thing he said, which I just think is right on, and first a little perspective, Bob. When folks come across our border, they are often coached as to what to say in order to gain refugee status. And we are a generous people. If somebody's at risk of being killed because of a religious belief, they're a Christian in a certain country, for example, we will give them asylum. But the problem is they're coached. And they're coached, and so they come in, and then they never return to their home. They're now in the country only because they've been coached.
Mm-hmm.
So what he said is, if you want to come as a refugee, you have to go through a checkpoint. You can't come across the border, be stopped by ICE, and ICE.
Hello.
You got to come through a checkpoint where you are seen by an attorney who can establish whether or not this is believable or not. And if not, they turn you right back around before you come into our country. I think the president's making some good calls on this.
Well, I personally have always found it disgusting when we're in some of these actions and you had people throwing rocks and cans and stuff at the police. And, you know, I sit in my den and watch this and yell at them, you know, do something. Don't let them do that. So from that standpoint, I'm really glad the president is taking action here. And my pet peeve of this whole thing, I don't know if you've noticed, but all the caravan people coming from these countries that they want to get out of so bad, and yet they're waving their country flags. That just makes my blood boil.
So there's a real suspicion that this is all being kind of put up by those who wish to politically embarrass the president. And the real cynic would say it's all about getting out the Latino vote for this midterm election.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously somebody's putting up the money for the food, the water, the transportation, and all the other ancillary support that you have to have. But one thing we can say about the president, he's taken on the issue first on. The whole birthright citizenship issue, for those who come here, say, for birthright tourism, and this is well known, they fly in pregnant, knowing they're going to deliver shortly, stay in a hotel, go to a hospital, deliver their baby. That now becomes the so-called anchor baby,
mm-hmm.
and then the person returns to their homeland, but now their child, a U.S. citizen, gives them an anchor. The president's right to take this on. And legal scholars may disagree, but many agree with the president that the 14th Amendment was not meant for this situation. It was meant for people born into slavery, and now after the Civil War were not to be denied citizenship.
Yeah, we had this discussion yesterday, and you're right. And you know, my point is that whether he can do it with an executive order, what you believe and what you don't believe, but it is time. It is long past time that our country do something and take action. If we have to make an amendment to the Constitution, whatever we have to do, we've got to stop this from happening.
And by the way, the president, folks want to say, well, the president's against immigration. You know, the president, in his State of the Union speech last year, offered the children who came here, the delayed, the DACA kids, if you will, he offered for twice as many as did Obama to stay in the United States. He gave a pathway to citizenship, which President Obama had not done. And he said, in exchange, this is a compromise, I will give you twice as many kids eligible for DACA. I will give a pathway to citizenship, but I want to secure the southern border.
Mm-hmm.
And congressional Democrats turned their back on that. If they had agreed, then the DACA issue would be addressed and our southern border would be secured, and we wouldn't have to worry about thousands of folks just kind of crashing it. The president's actually made some pretty good moves that have been turned away by those who I wish had agreed to them.
Senator, I have to go. I have 1 minute left, and what do you want to say that I did not ask you?
You know, I think a big issue is going to be this midterm election. And the real question is, do American people want to vote their pocketbook? We had a jobs number today, 250,000 Americans finding work who did not have it. We have wage growth that is disproportionately among those who are lower income. Because there's such a competition for labor, we're seeing wage growth in the lower income areas. Record low unemployment for African Americans, veterans, women, Hispanics, you name it. Fantastic economy. Are the American people going to vote for that? Those policies that gave us this fantastic economy? Or are they going to vote because they're mad at President Trump because he says things that are obnoxious? I think that's going to be the question on Tuesday. Get out and vote.
Thank you, Senator Cassidy. Thank you again for taking time to be with us here on WWL. All right.
Bob.